Wonderful. So now let's take this up to the next level of feminine leadership. So how would the world be different if we really empowered all these values in our governance, in our leadership, in our co-creation? And if we think back on times on the planet where there was thousands of years of peace, and we called it a matriarchy, so there's something there. And especially now, why is this so important in the world? And how would it affect our families, communities, and global realities? So I'd like you to go in deeper of identifying the phenomenon of women stepping into their leadership and how important this is. Acknowledging what just happened with the Women's March, with what's happening on the planet as people are stepping up and saying, no, we don't want what we see coming down the turnpike. We want something that unifies us, that really cares for us all. So speak more to that. Got the mic, Heather.
Like, yes. We actually interviewed a wonderful matriarch in our lives, and many of you might know her, Barbara Wilder, who wrote an incredible book called Money is Love. And what she talked about a little bit the other day was not a matriarchal society, but a matrilineal society, where there was, I feel like bringing this forward into a new paradigm would be the equivalent of a governance of perfect love, where it really allows and inspires people to be in a place of self-governance, not that we're leading because we're about the circle, like you said, not the triangle, not the hierarchy, but that we're inspiring people to rise in their own sovereignty and surrender so that they may govern themselves. And there's that trust you were talking about that gets built for all of us, and we develop networks of trust where we're all thriving in our gifts.
Great, beautiful.
Sitting up here with all of you empowered women just brings my heart to a whole new level, because I've always been the one that kind of feels like they're all going and I still want to stay back here. And in the past, I'm going to use my language. Jen in her talk today talked very powerfully about how we use our language. And I know that a lot of women have felt like we couldn't use our voices, and maybe that has to do with past life things or something like this, but I know that we are rising in our own sovereignty, and it is such a beautiful thing to witness the circle and seeing us step out of the mentality of kings and queens and coming back to the council mentality. And I think that's why so many of us were inspired to be on a panel together, speaking to these topics and giving permission to ourselves to implement more. For me, it was exercising more masculine principles, because I've always been the one that's been very nurturing and receptive, and so excited to see my sisters shine in their power and just hold space for that. That's been the path, but it is time for all of us to really hold each other and see that there is such a beautiful thing happening with women in leadership, that we can turn the ship around, so to speak. So I think we're all here for that reason. I'd like to know, by a show of hands, why so many of you were inspired to come into this panel. Was it because you were feeling that call to see the feminine rise and to feel that energy of the feminine coming into play and seeing, what are we going to do for our earth? What are we here to do for our children? Like Annelise was talking about what's happening with the children, and actually using your voices. How many of you came in here just because it seemed like a good idea, or did you come in here because you felt that you were a part of the radical shift that's taking place and you wanted to step into your leadership and hear? Thank you. It's beautiful to see the men raising their hands.
Well, I thought it was a wonderful idea to keep her happy.
That was great. He said, I thought it was a wonderful idea to keep her happy. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all being here.
I'm just gonna say something short quickly, is I see also leadership often, I do see women stepping in leadership roles and taking, again, a masculine approach, right? Like, oh, I gotta force my way to the top and then I can scream from the rooftops. And it's great, if that's who you are, go for it, all the support. But I also, as you said, see this quiet leadership that again happens within our communities, our circles, and this pond rippling out, right? Throw the stone in the pond and you see the ripple. I see such a huge power in all these circles forming, right? Of different women coming to their power and having their awakening and starting to speak their truth and forming their projects or whatever they're passionate about, be it music or sacred geometry or travel or whatever it may be, or bringing people together as Michelle does so beautifully. And to me, that is leadership. It doesn't have to be something, I'll say this for myself, I knew leadership to be corporate world, right? But then for me, I kind of got scared about, I don't want to be the one that's sitting there rah-rah from the rooftops up for the feminine. And I realized I don't have to, because my way of leadership are these circles, is just speaking my truth through, in my case, writing. That's just a medium that I like to use. And that's how I can be a leader, is just by speaking the truth of my experiences to have other people remember their heart and have other people remember that, oh, this is who I really am, the re-remembering we've all talked about. And that's leadership. So that's how we can all be leaders. It's not the competition for who's the loudest or who has the biggest following on Facebook or whatever those measurements of success that we all used to or still go by. It's just speaking from the truth all the time and letting that ripple out to your friends, your family, your children. That is leadership, first and foremost.
Beautiful, thank you.
Well, I love with leadership that people truly step into what we're here to do. We are each such a piece of the puzzle, and really honoring that. I love seeing women that are beautiful and flowy feminine. I love seeing women that are firefighters and warriors and priestesses or whatever it may be that truly lights them up. And I feel that if we were to bring leadership into more of a political arena, wow, imagine honesty. Imagine caring about each other, as Sarah did today. You know, imagine putting what's best for everyone and, you know, unification. And for me, a lot of it is about integration, that we integrate it all. And on that note, on a playful side, women in leadership would have more time in nature, almost like Google does. You know, what about breaks at work for massages? What about breaks at work, you know, to hold hands and create a vision? You know, and we laugh, yet what a world we live in. And I really believe there have been, in our ancestors, matriarchal societies where beauty and nurturing and honoring and caring and softness, as well as strength and efficiency and power and getting things done, because women know how to kick ass and multitask and do so much.
Maura's the queen of it.
And also we know how to be quiet and still and to listen. And on that note, I'll keep listening to what our other sisters have to say.
Yeah, I feel like you all said it all, so I'm going to pass it on.
I always have so much to say. You guys are so brilliant. Seriously, I'm like, yep. So for me, when you guys are talking, I just keep envisioning quantum playgrounds around the world. It's just have to say, like, this is it. It's a concept of, like, bringing people outside, getting them to play, getting them to be in their bodies and trust themselves again. And I've had the honor of being the first empowerment coach that UC Berkeley hired to work with their top women in science and engineering and teach them the spiritual principles in alignment with the science. And it is such a privilege, and it brings so much joy to me. I feel so rewarded because I told them when they approached me, I'm going to talk about emotions. I'm just going to tell you guys right now. We're going to talk about our feelings, and we're going to talk about honoring our feelings, and we're going to talk about the importance of that. And they were like, yes, please. These students need so much support in that area. They've been so over-academically developed to trust only their cognitive processes that they cut off. They were fearing their intuition. And then it was going so well, and it has been going so well that they've asked me to work with the men too, because the men were like, wait a second, we want this too, you know, and it was so beautiful to see that it was only their top scholars for women, and then we opened up and had a happy hour where everybody was welcome to come. And this the idea that the overarching theme that I saw was these young people, these kids, they wanted confidence. That was the main principle that I brought up, because I have the 12 principles that I work with for the feminine. And just the overarching themes, and confidence and courage came up over and over again. And this is why I've created these interactive play experiences, so that people can really feel that confidence back in themselves. Try we were talking about language earlier, and virals, and these societal virals of like, I can't, and like not enough, and the lack. And it really is this embodied experience of overcoming that, and then they move in the world differently. Their posture is different. They're willing to try new things, and this is how we start to change and create that conscious revolution through those practices.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So passionate about all of what you're sharing, and it comes back to feeling. It comes back to, for leadership, so to bring the principles fully in my story, I was totally petrified of power and being the leader. I truly come from a culture where powerful women, and in my own experience, are stomped on. Women are not given a voice, and you can very quickly be taken out and harm your entire family from showing up in a particular manner in society. So I struggled with leadership and really fully being able to embody the role of leader. My website was a gift from someone that wanted me to have a website. My bio was written by someone I hired in the Philippines when I learned she was living on the streets. I helped her develop a business in the Philippines. Much of my stuff is misspelled because it was written. Like the graphics that were made. And this is since maybe 2003 to 2008-09, really not embodying the shaman grandmother wisdom that was handed to me, not fully recognizing everyone doesn't have the skill set to see things as I do. Meaning I went to med school before I learned people don't see energy and matrices and bodies out of alignment. I didn't realize you can't shift consciousness with love and the energy and the light shift around a person. It took a lot of really healthy babies being born in villages out in the field before I recognized, and doctors telling me, what are you doing? Other doctors saying, what are you doing? For me to recognize I had something special. And I believe we each have something special. You have within you something that no one else can bring to the planet. A way of seeing, a way of speaking, a way of loving, a way of creating and forgiving and embodying the energy field that no one else can do. And so leadership, to me, really truly involves embodying the next most brave thing that you can imagine yourself doing that will contribute in a powerful way to yourself or someone else. And along that path, that leadership, and for me it's funny to say, like, wearing clothing that makes me nervous to be seen in is an act of bravery, but it allows me to be fully aware of my energy, my feeling, so that I know myself to be able to measure what's coming from your energy field versus my own energy field. So to me, leadership is a moment by moment practice of remaking yourself with the elements given in the particular place that you're in to deliver the maximum result possible for those with you, and not making it personal to yourself.
just follow up on that, to be leaders in our own lives and follow our own intuition and empower ourselves to make those kind of decisions instead of always seeking someone else to rule us. I think that's the new face of leadership. Yeah. And I think Jesus came to the planet to show us that we all have the power of love and the Creator inside us. It's already there. We're just uncovering it. We're remembering. Thank God.
Thank you. And Valerie would like to end with a few things.
For me, a great leader is someone who inspires, and so I think this is about co-creation. We're all co-creating this new earth together. And so we're all leaders. We're all leaders in what we have to share and what we have to offer. And, you know, I use some of my quantum terms. We're all fractals. We're all pieces of this puzzle. And I've been weaving a lot of this puzzle, as many of us have. And I started to see this amazing quilt. And it's this quilt because we're really the human species. And so for me, as one species, how do we all get along? I think this is what we're really trying to figure out. And women know how to get along. And yes, I think men have also been waiting for women to work together, because even women have come from a very competitive place, especially in business. I also came out of business. I was in the internet industry and started a company and sold it. And for me, it was, oh, wow, this is amazing. It's all about the money. And then 2 weeks later, I thought, well, this sucks. This doesn't feel good. What am I really doing here? This is not fulfilling. Money was never fulfilling for me. So I think as a society, as a planet, again, we have to choose what's important, because we know money is not it. It's the wealth we have within us, and together as this cooperative. So for me, leadership is cooperation and collaboration.
Great, beautiful.